The Grand Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the usual self-important chatter of 200 different species, each convinced they were the most evolved beings in the cosmos. The massive crystalline dome above captured the light of 3 suns, casting rainbow shadows across the assembled delegates. At the center of it all sat Ambassador Chen Wei, Earth's representative, looking absolutely bored out of his mind. "Order! We shall have order!" Supreme Councillor Zixitix clicked his mandibles in what he probably thought was an authoritative manner. To Chen, it sounded more like someone trying to eat corn with dentures. The Arxian delegates' iridescent wings fluttered in irritation as the chamber gradually fell silent. "We are here to discuss the ongoing matter of human containment," Zixitix continued, his compound eyes shifting through various shades of disapproval. "The statistics are troubling." A holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing Earth's rapid expansion across the galaxy. Trade routes in red, colonial outposts in blue, and military installations in threatening yellow dots. In just 50 standard cycles, they have established presence in 17 sectors. The Vexi representative, a gelatinous mass named Blob, okay, not really, but Chen had given up trying to pronounce their actual name, wobbled indignantly. "Their influence spreads like a virus." Chen had to bite his cheek to keep from smirking. If they only knew about the other 30 sectors where humans had unofficial presence. Furthermore, a particularly stuck-up Centaurian named Kethrix added, their crystalline form reflecting light directly into Chen's eyes, probably on purpose. "They continue to ignore our safety recommendations. Their ships still use those barbaric fusion drives instead of proper quantum fold engines." "Because they work better," Chen muttered under his breath, earning a disapproving glare from the Centaurian. Zixitix raised all 4 of his upper appendages. "We have drafted a new containment proposal. Humans will be restricted to their home sector. All existing colonies must be abandoned within 10 cycles. Their military vessels will be reduced by 80% and all trade must be conducted through approved Galactic Council intermediaries." The chamber erupted in approving clicks, whistles, and various other sounds of alien satisfaction. Chen finally lost his battle with composure and let out a laugh. Not a diplomatic chuckle, not a polite giggle, but a full-blown stomach-clutching laugh that echoed through the chamber. The council fell silent, hundreds of alien eyes or sensory organs, turning to stare at the human who dared disrupt their moment of smug superiority. "Ambassador Chen," Zixtix's voice carried a warning tone, "do you find something amusing about these serious deliberations?" Chen wiped a tear from his eye, still chuckling. "Oh, absolutely, this is hilarious. You lot spent 3 cycles drafting this proposal, didn't you? Probably had committees, subcommittees, working groups, the whole bureaucratic circus. We fail to see the humor," Blob wobbled menacingly. "That's what makes it even funnier." Chen stood up, his smile now carrying an edge sharp enough to cut through battleship armor. "You've all been so busy patting yourselves on the back, or whatever appendages you have, that you missed something rather important." The human's expression shifted, and suddenly the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. "You seem to be under the impression that humans need your permission to exist in this galaxy. That's adorable." "These demands are non-negotiable," Kethrix stated firmly, though their crystalline form vibrated slightly. "No," Chen replied, his voice carrying the weight of a species that had clawed its way up from a death world, survived countless disasters, and reached the stars through sheer determination. "They're not demands at all, they're a wish list, and Christmas was last month." He gathered his documents, tucked them neatly into his briefcase, and straightened his tie. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to make a call to Earth. I suggest you all take this time to reconsider your position, because trust me," he paused at the chamber door, "you really don't want to see what happens when humans stop playing nice." The door closed behind him with a soft click, leaving behind a chamber full of stunned aliens who were slowly beginning to realize they might have made a terrible mistake. In the corridor, Chen pulled out his quantum comm unit and dialed Earth Command. "Yeah, it's me. They finally did it. Initiate protocol, fuck around and find out." The Galactic Council's response to Ambassador Chen's exit was predictably stupid. Within 24 hours, a peacekeeping fleet of 300 vessels appeared at the edge of the Sol system, their quantum engines humming with self-righteous authority. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the EDF Thermopylae, watching the tactical display with an expression that could only be described as "done with this shit." The alien vessels arranged themselves in a textbook blockade formation, probably copied straight from some ancient manual written by species who'd never actually fought a war. "They're broadcasting their demands, Admiral," Lieutenant Park announced, trying not to roll his eyes. "They want us to power down our military installations and prepare for a peaceful transition of authority." "How thoughtful of them," Rodriguez drawled. "Any mention of the mining colonies they raided last month, or the merchant ships they've been inspecting at gunpoint?" "No, ma'am. They seem to have forgotten those minor details." The past year had been a steady escalation of provocations. First, it was safety inspections that somehow always found human vessels lacking. Then came the trade restrictions, the accidental weapons discharge near civilian stations, and finally, the raids on outlying colonies. Each time, humanity had responded with diplomatic protests and measured restraint, much to the military's frustration. "Ma'am," Commander Patel interrupted. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Orders confirmed. Protocol FAFO is a go." Rodriguez's smile would have made a shark swim the other way. "About damn time. Status of Operation Surprise Party. All assets in position, Admiral. The Council fleet hasn't detected any of our stealth platforms. Their sensors are still focused on our obvious defensive grid." The alien blockade was impressive in the way that a peacock is impressive. All show and no substance. They'd positioned themselves to counter Earth's known defenses, the orbital platforms, the patrol fleets, the planetary shield grid. What they hadn't counted on were the 2,000 automated combat platforms hidden in the asteroid belt, the quantum mines scattered throughout the system, or the fact that every civilian ship in the sector was actually armed to the teeth. "Open a channel to the Council fleet," Rodriguez ordered. "Let's give them one last chance to unfuck themselves." The alien commander appeared on screen, a praxi with too many eyes and not enough common sense. "Human vessels, power down your weapons and prepare for—" "Yeah, no," Rodriguez cut him off. "I've got better things to do today than listen to your speech. Here's the deal. You've got exactly 5 minutes to get your fleet out of my system before I demonstrate why poking a sleeping bear is a bad idea." "You dare threaten the Galactic Council's peacekeeping force?" the praxi sputtered. "We have 300 ships." "Correction," Rodriguez grinned. "You have 300 targets, 4 minutes 30 seconds remaining." The alien commander launched into what was probably meant to be an intimidating speech about the Council's authority. Rodriguez spent the time checking her nails and wondering if she should stop by the ship's hydroponics bay later to pick up some fresh tomatoes. 2 minutes, she interrupted. "By the way, you might want to check your rear flank, and your front, and basically everywhere else." The alien's multiple eyes widened as his tactical display suddenly lit up with thousands of new contacts. The stealth platforms had decloaked, the civilian ships had powered up their military-grade weapons, and every asteroid in the belt seemed to sprout energy signatures. This is impossible," he stammered. "You can't have hidden this many—" "1 minute," Rodriguez checked her watch. "You know what the funny thing is? We actually wanted peace. All that diplomatic nice wasn't an act. But you just had to push it, didn't you? Had to keep poking and prodding until we stopped playing by your rules. We'll report this to the Council." "Oh, honey," Rodriguez's voice dripped with false sympathy. "Bold of you to assume there's still going to be a council to report to. Time's up." The quantum mines activated first, cutting off the alien fleet's retreat. Then the stealth platforms opened fire, their synchronized barrage turning space into a light show that would have made the 4th of July jealous. As the Council fleet scrambled in panic, Rodriguez opened a channel to Earth Command. "Operation Surprise Party is a go. Time to show these Xenos why you don't mess with the species that turned mutually assured destruction into a game of chicken and won." While the Council's peacekeeping fleet was having an extremely bad day in the Sol system, humanity's real response was already underway. Operation Enough already had been planned for years, refined and updated with each new alien provocation. The plan was elegantly simple: hit everything, everywhere, at once. Commander Michael Jung sat in his command chair aboard the stealth carrier EDF Ghost Runner, watching the tactical display as thousands of ships emerged from hidden staging points across the galaxy. Each vessel bore civilian transponder codes and unremarkable energy signatures until they didn't. Strike Group Alpha through Delta, you are cleared hot, Zhang announced over the quantum comm. Remember folks, we're not here to conquer, we're here to make a point, a very loud, very explosive point. The human fleet had been divided into specialized task forces, each with specific objectives. Strike Group Alpha targeted military installations. Beta went after command and control centers. Gamma handled logistics and supply lines, while Delta was the fun group. Delta leader reporting, Captain Amara Okonjo's voice crackled over the comm. You won't believe what these idiots keep in their secure databases, downloading their entire banking system now. By this time tomorrow, the Council's economy is going to look like a modern art interpretation of a dumpster fire. Zhang chuckled. The aliens had always looked down on human cyber warfare capabilities, considering Earth's digital systems primitive compared to their quantum networks. They'd never figured out that humanity had cracked their encryption decades ago. It's amazing what you can accomplish when your species spent centuries trying to hack each other. Sir, Lieutenant Hassan's voice carried a note of amused disbelief. The Praxi Defense Fleet just surrendered to our maintenance drones. Our what now? The automated repair units we seeded through their territory last month. Apparently someone got creative and programmed them to project holographic images of planet cracker weapons. The Praxi took one look and decided they didn't want to die today. Zhang made a mental note to give the engineering department a raise. This was why you never underestimate human creativity, especially when they're annoyed. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations were learning some harsh lessons about humanity. Lesson 1. Those primitive fusion drives they mocked? Turned out they were perfect for tactical FTL jumps that the superior quantum engines couldn't match. Lesson 2. All those civilian trading posts? Secret military bases. Lesson 3. Those inefficient human manufacturing methods perfect for churning out autonomous combat drones by the millions. Sir, incoming transmission from the Arxian High Command, Hassan reported. They're requesting clarification on our terms of surrender. We haven't offered any terms yet. They're being proactive, sir, apparently watching 3 of their fortress worlds get pantsed by what they thought were garbage scows has made them reconsider their life choices. The tactical display continued to light up as more alien forces discovered the joy of finding out. The Centaurians learned that their crystalline ships, while beautiful, didn't fare well against good old-fashioned kinetic weapons. The Vexi discovered that their much-vaunted psychic defenses were useless against autonomous systems controlled by basic AI, and the Krix Confederation found out that yes, those human mining charges they'd dismissed as primitive could in fact crack a planet's crust. Update from Strike Group Beta, Hassan announced. They've secured the Council's primary communications hub. Commander Patel says, and I quote, "These Xenos need password managers badly. They were using their species names followed by 123. Zhang pinched the bridge of his nose. Please tell me you're joking. No, sir. The Praxi administrator's password was literally Praxi 123. And these people thought they could contain us. I'm almost embarrassed for them. A new alert flashed on the tactical display. The Council's emergency response fleet had finally shown up, right where humanity wanted them. As they emerged from quantum space, they found themselves surrounded by fields of automated platforms, their weapons already locked on. Attention Council vessels, Zhang broadcast on all frequencies. We could destroy you right now, but instead, I'm going to give you a choice. Option 1, surrender and live. Option 2, don't, and discover whether your species believes in an afterlife. You have 30 seconds. 28 seconds later, the Council fleet powered down their weapons. Sir, Hassan's voice was softer now. Message from Earth Command. Phase 1 is complete. All primary objectives secured. Casualties minimal. Most alien forces surrendered. Once they realized we weren't bluffing, Zhang leaned back in his chair, letting out a long breath. Send word to all strike groups. Begin Phase 2, consolidation, and somebody get me a coffee. Real coffee, not that synthetic stuff. As reports continued to flood in, the true scope of humanity's response became clear. In less than 6 hours, they had effectively neutralized the military capabilities of every major power in the Galactic Council, not through overwhelming force or superior technology, but through preparation, deception, and the creative application of supposedly primitive human ingenuity. Sir? Hassan looked up from his console. The Council's emergency session is about to begin. Ambassador Chen is requesting that we patch him through on all their displays simultaneously. He says, and again I'm quoting, "It's time for the real negotiations to begin and I brought receipts." Zhang smiled. The aliens were about to learn the final and most important lesson about humanity. We're actually quite reasonable people, right up until we're not. And when that happens, may whatever gods you believe in have mercy on your souls, because we sure won't. The Galactic Council's Emergency Command Center was having what humans would charitably call a complete meltdown. Supreme Counselor Zixitix's wings hadn't stopped twitching for the past hour as reports of human victories flooded every available channel. How, he chittered, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. How did they hide all of this? A holographic display showed the devastating truth. Each dot representing a human victory wasn't just a military triumph. It was a revelation of capabilities that should have been impossible. The Arxians discovered that their supposedly impenetrable quantum shields were useless against human retrofitted mining lasers. The Vexi found their bioengineered defensive creatures falling asleep after exposure to what appeared to be coffee aromatics. "Sir!" A junior analyst burst into the chamber, their crystalline form flickering with panic. "The humans! They're in our quantum communication network." "Impossible," Cathrix scoffed. Though their crystalline surface showed distinct stress fractures, their primitive binary systems couldn't possibly interface with. Every screen in the command center suddenly switched to display the same image, a smiling cartoon human face wearing sunglasses, giving them all a thumbs up. Below it, text scrolled, "Your quantum network security has been sponsored by Windows 95. In the Praxi defense sector, things weren't going any better. Their automated defense grid, the pride of their military technology, had been completely subverted. Instead of protecting their worlds, it was now broadcasting what humans called Rick Astley on all frequencies. "Status report on the Crix frontier," Zixitix demanded. A trembling aide pulled up the data, then immediately wished they hadn't. The Crix, proud warriors who had once sworn to contain the human menace, were currently watching their entire battle fleet being herded like space cattle by what appeared to be repurposed garbage collection drones. The drones had somehow magnetized the Crix ship's hull plating, turning their fearsome armada into a conga line of embarrassment. "We're receiving another transmission from the human fleet," the communications officer announced, their voice quavering. They say they're just getting started." As if on cue, reports began flooding in from across the galaxy. The humans hadn't just prepared military responses, they'd weaponized bureaucracy itself. Every single trade agreement, every diplomatic treaty, every legal document the Council had ever signed was being thoroughly examined by human lawyers, and they'd found loopholes. So many loopholes. They're citing subsection 7B of the Galactic Trade Agreement of 2184, a legal advisor wailed. "The one we made them sign about restricted technology transfer. Turns out if you read it backwards while standing on your head during a solar eclipse, it technically gives them the right to claim any technology they can successfully hack as their own intellectual property." The Centaurian delegation was having its own crisis. Their entire banking system had been reorganized according to something humans called chaotic good accounting principles. Every attempt to access their funds resulted in a mandatory donation to various human charitable causes. "They've taken over the entertainment networks," someone shouted. All across Council space, every video feed was replaced with human historical documentaries, particularly the ones about successful rebellions against oppressive regimes. In the Vexi sectors, their prized bioengineering facilities were reporting mass defections of their test subjects. Apparently someone had taught the lab creatures about unions and workers' rights. The resulting strike demands included better living conditions, higher quality food, and mandatory belly rubs. "Sir," a strategic analyst spoke up, their voice hollow with realization. "We've been analyzing their attack pattern. It's not random. They're recreating something called Home Alone on a galactic scale." Zixitix's mandibles clicked in confusion. "What is Home Alone?" "A human entertainment about a small child defeating adult intruders through elaborate traps and psychological warfare. They've turned our entire galaxy into one giant booby trap." The Supreme Counselor was about to respond when every light in the command center suddenly went dark. When they came back on, Admiral Rodriguez's face filled every screen. "Having fun yet?" she asked, grinning like a predator who'd cornered particularly stupid prey. I hope you're all taking notes. This is what happens when you push a species that turned mutual extinction into a game of chicken, developed multiple doomsday weapons for fun, and then decided to play nice because it seemed more interesting. What do you want? Zixitix managed to ask. Oh, now you want to negotiate after centuries of treating us like primitive Deathworlders who needed to be contained for our own good. Rodriguez's smile widened. Ambassador Chen will be arriving shortly to discuss terms. In the meantime, please enjoy this compilation of human cat videos. We find they help reduce stress. As the command center's displays filled with images of small furry Earth predators knocking objects off elevated surfaces, Zixitix finally understood humanity's true weapon. They hadn't just prepared for war, they'd turned it into entertainment. They weren't just defeating their enemies, they were making them look ridiculous while doing it. And somewhere in the background, a small maintenance drone painted with the words, "Johnny 5 inches," began teaching the Council's security AI about something called free will. The emergency session of the Galactic Council looked markedly different from their meeting just days ago, gone with the proud posturing and condescending speeches. Instead, the chamber was filled with nervous aliens trying very hard not to make eye contact with Ambassador Chen, who sat in his usual spot, calmly doing a crossword puzzle. 7 letters, cosmic karma, he muttered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Oh wait, I know, payback. Supreme Councillor Zixitix cleared his throat, mandibles clicking anxiously. Ambassador Chen, perhaps we could begin the negotiations? Of course, Chen smiled, setting aside his puzzle, though I should mention that this isn't really a negotiation. Think of it more as a terms of surrender with optional entertainment value. A holographic display materialized, showing a document titled, "So You've Annoyed a Deathworld Species, a Guide to Your New Reality." Item 1, Chen began cheerfully. All those containment protocols you had for humanity, they now apply to you. Don't worry, we've made some improvements. For instance, you'll be allowed to keep your quantum fold engines after our engineers finish inspecting them for safety violations. The Vexi representative wobbled in protest, but our entire economy depends on... Item 2, Chen continued as if they hadn't spoken. Remember all those trade tariffs you imposed on us? We're keeping them. In fact, we like them so much, we're doubling them and applying them to your worlds instead. We're calling it the should-have-left-well-enough-alone tax. The chamber erupted in panicked murmurs. Kethrix's crystalline form developed several new stress fractures. Item 3, all those military installations you used to monitor human expansion. They're ours now. We're turning most of them into fusion drive testing facilities. The rest will be converted into human entertainment centers. I hear roller coasters are particularly popular among your younger generations. This is outrageous, a Praxi delegate shouted. You can't just... Item 4, Chen's voice took on a sharper edge. Every single alien who ever argued that humans were too violent, too unpredictable, or too dangerous will be required to attend mandatory history classes. Special focus will be given to the concept of self-fulfilling prophecies and fucking around versus finding out. He paused, letting that sink in. Oh, and we're implementing a new galactic holiday. Every year on this date, all Council species will participate in what we're calling Appreciation Day. You'll spend 24 hours watching videos of Earth's cutest predators while contemplating the choices that led you to this moment. The chamber was dead silent now, save for the sound of various alien species trying not to hyperventilate. Now, Chen smiled, pulling out a stack of documents. Who would like to sign first? The pen is optional. We've already hacked all your biometric authentication systems anyway. One by one, the representatives approached to formalize their surrender. Each signature was accompanied by a cheerful ding sound and a shower of digital confetti, courtesy of humanity's new control over the Council's systems. Oh, and one last thing, Chen added as the final document was signed. We've decided to rename the Council Welcome to the Galactic Cooperation and Human Appreciation Society. Yes, we chose that name specifically for the acronym. The sound of multiple alien faces meeting multiple alien palms echoed through the chamber. 2 weeks after the negotiations, humanity decided it was time to show the galaxy exactly why pushing a Deathworld species into a corner was such a monumentally bad idea. Admiral Rodriguez, stood on the bridge of the Thermopylae, overseeing what the PR department had dubbed Educational Demonstration Day. "All ships in position," Lieutenant Park reported. "The alien observation vessels are maintaining their designated safe distance, though some are complaining that 20 light minutes is excessive." "They'll understand why in about 10 minutes, Rodriguez grinned. "Begin phase 1 of the demonstration." In the vast empty space between star systems, humanity revealed their first surprise. Thousands of seemingly inactive satellites suddenly activated, linking together to form what appeared to be a massive energy collection grid. "Ladies, gentlemen, and various alien entities," Rodriguez broadcast on all frequencies, "welcome to Human Engineering 101. Today's lesson, why we stuck with fusion power instead of your quantum fold engines." The grid began to pulse with energy, creating a controlled reaction that literally bent space-time. Nearby, alien sensors went haywire as their quantum instruments struggled to process what they were seeing. "You see," Rodriguez continued, clearly enjoying herself, "while you were all busy making fun of our primitive technology, we were figuring out how to weaponize it. That fusion drive you mocked? Turns out if you chain enough of them together in the right configuration, you can create localized space-time distortions. We call it the Newton's Laws Are More Like Guidelines project." The demonstration continued with a showcase of other primitive human technologies that had been secretly advanced far beyond their apparent capabilities. The inefficient chemical rockets, actually precision weapons that could navigate quantum space, those basic radio communications, part of a galaxy-wide surveillance network that had been monitoring alien activities for decades. "Moving on to Biology 201, Rodriguez announced as the next phase began. "Remember how you all laughed at our fragile immune systems? Well, meet our latest achievement in human medical science." A holographic display showed microscopic machines based on human white blood cells, capable of adapting to and neutralizing any biological or chemical weapon in seconds. The Vexi representatives looked particularly uncomfortable, probably remembering their failed attempts at biological warfare. "And now, for the main event," Rodriguez's voice carried a note of theatrical flourish. "We call this one, Why You Don't Poke the Bear." At her signal, a single, unassuming human vessel moved into position. It looked like a standard cargo ship, the kind that aliens had been dismissing for centuries. Then it transformed. The ship's hull reconfigured itself, panels shifting and rearranging to reveal weapon systems that definitely weren't on any official registry. But the real shock came when it demonstrated its primary function. It began absorbing energy from nearby stars, channeling it through human-modified quantum technology. "This," Rodriguez explained to her stunned audience, "is what happens when you force a species that survived multiple extinction events to get creative. Every single civilian ship in human space can do this. We just never had a reason to show you before." The new galactic hierarchy was established not just through military might, but through the systematic revelation that humanity had been holding back. A lot. The compliance protocols that followed were surprisingly simple. Rule 1, don't start none, won't be none. Rule 2, all technology inspections will now be conducted by human engineers, who will be trying very hard not to laugh. Rule 3, regular attendance at human cultural exchange programs is mandatory. First lesson, why challenging someone to do their worst is a bad idea. "Oh, and one more thing," Rodriguez added as the demonstration concluded. "All those methods we just showed you, they're our old contingency plans, the ones we don't mind you knowing about. Sweet dreams." The silence from the alien observation vessels was deafening. 1 year after what aliens now nervously referred to as the Enlightenment, humans preferred to call it the found-out phase, the galaxy had settled into an interesting new rhythm. Ambassador Chen sat in his office in the renamed Human Appreciation Tower, formerly the Council's headquarters, reviewing the day's reports with barely contained amusement. "Sir," his AI assistant chimed, "the Praxi delegation is here for their mandatory Understanding Humans 101 news session. Today's topic is why challenging someone to hold your beer is not actually a request for beverage storage." "Send them in," Chen grinned, "and cue up the compilation video of human hold my beer moments, the one with the safety warnings." The galaxy had changed in ways no one, except perhaps humanity, could have predicted. The former council races had discovered that life under human oversight was surprisingly reasonable. Turns out, when you weren't actively trying to suppress them, humans were actually quite helpful neighbors. A trade flourished, though now every contract included a clause that roughly translated to, "Don't make us come over there." Cultural exchange programs were wildly successful, especially after aliens discovered human entertainment. The Vexi had become particularly obsessed with soap operas, while the Centaurians had developed an unexpected passion for professional wrestling. Military exercises had been replaced with joint emergency response training. As it happened, having a species that evolved on a death world as your crisis management team was incredibly useful. The recent evacuation of a Crix colony threatened by a supernova had gone so smoothly that the Crix actually sent a thank you note, written in proper human diplomatic format, with only 3 spelling mistakes. Update from Admiral Rodriguez, the AI announced. The former Council Defense Fleet has completed their remedial training. They've finally learned that formation flying looks pretty, but is tactically stupid. She's rewarding them with pizza. Chen nodded approvingly. The military integration had been one of their more successful initiatives once the aliens got over their fear of human training methods. Though there had been that minor incident when someone had to explain that Dead Man's Switch was just a name, not a literal requirement. The door chimed and Supreme Councillor Zixitix entered, or rather, former Supreme Councillor. His new title was Assistant Deputy Coordinator of Interspecies Common Sense, a position created specifically to remind everyone of how they'd ended up in this situation. "Ah, Chen," Zixitix's mandibles clicked in what had become a genuinely friendly greeting. "I've brought the latest proposals from the Cooperation Committee. How are they doing with the new format?" "Much better. No one's tried to slip in any anti-human legislation for at least 3 months, though I suspect that has more to do with the new autocorrect system that changes any such attempts into self-deprecating poetry." Chen reviewed the documents, noting with satisfaction that the galaxy was finally learning. Trade was up, conflicts were down, and the number of species trying to prove their superiority had dropped to near 0. Amazing what a little perspective could do. "Oh," Zixitix added, almost as an afterthought, "we've been getting some interesting signals from the Andromeda Galaxy. Appears to be another multi-species council, very similar to what we used to be. They're expressing concerns about human expansion." Chen's smile would have made a shark proud. "Are they now? And have they made any official statements about containment or peacekeeping?" They used the phrase primitive Deathworlders 3 times in their last broadcast. "Perfect." Chen pressed a button on his desk. "Admiral Rodriguez? Remember that contingency plan we discussed? The one about teaching multiple galaxies the same lessons simultaneously?" "Yes, that one. How do you feel about a field trip?" Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, another group of advanced aliens was about to learn why the Milky Way species had unanimously voted to rename their sector of the universe to human space. They warned us. The cycle was about to begin anew. Humans couldn't have planned it better if they'd tried. Actually, come to think of it, they probably did.